So far, we've learned how to find C, and in order to have a perfect square trinomial. Now we're going to look at actually using this to complete the square and solve. So x squared minus 16x equals negative 15. Now you guys have seen problems just like this before, and you might be asking yourself at this point, why on earth do we go through this craziness to complete the square? I'm just going to put on the right the couple methods we've learned so far to solve quadratic equations. We've learned to graph, we've learned to factor, we've learned square roots in 10.4. And this is the fourth method, complete the square. We're only going to learn 5. We're going to learn quadratic equations next. We're not quite there yet. That's going to be in 10.6. So why on earth would somebody want to complete the square? Well, graphing, it's obvious to you because you hate graphing, and so do I. Graphing can be long and laborious, and believe it or not, this is going to be faster when you get good at it. Factoring sometimes works and sometimes doesn't, and it's only really going to work if you kind of have perfect factors. In other words, factors that are whole numbers, and most of them are not. Square roots only works if you're missing the middle term b. Completing the square works in a lot of situations as long as you can get just an x square in the front, and it works in more situations, and that's one of the reasons we do it. So solve this by completing the square. All right, well, we're going to do what we've been doing, but essentially the first step, and I want you to replicate every single step. So I want you to write these steps down, and I want you to copy this exact sequence in your homework. This is really important. Don't try to skip or you'll get completely messed up. X squared minus 16x. Your first step is to draw the problem like this, because you want to leave an empty space where this value is going to go. So first, draw that, leaving yourself lots of space. Second step is to find what goes in there. Well, we've learned how to do it. It's b over 2 squared. Well, b is negative 16 over 2, which is going to give negative 8, which I square, and is going to be 64. So I know that 64 goes in here, but think carefully, and you guys know this. I can't just throw in a 64 in an equation. I'm not allowed to do that because it changes the whole balance. Whatever I add to one side, I have to add to the other. And so I have to add a 64 here too, or else I'm going to be really messed up. So my third step is now to write down what I have left. So my third step is over here on the right hand side. I'm going to write down negative 15 plus 64, which is 49. And then I'm going to factor what is now my perfect square trinomial. And I can factor it, and what's going to go in here, and again, you just did this, right? And you hopefully did it in your homework. X, and I know what goes here, right, is b over 2. Well, what goes there is this, right? And that's negative 16 over 2 is negative 8. And that's squared. So what goes in here, just to make sure that you're not confused, is b over 2. Not b over 2 squared, but b over 2. Okay? That's my third step. Well, now I have things set up that I've already done when I was solving square roots in the last chapter. And what I have to do is simply, I'm going to rewrite this just so things are not confusing. I'm going to take the square root of both sides. And when I take the square root of both sides, I end up with x minus 8 equals plus or minus 7. So to complete the problem, I'm left with two possibilities for x. X equals, adding 8 to both sides, 8 plus 7, or x equals 8 minus 7. Those are my two options. 8 plus 7 is 15. 8 minus 7 is 1. So my solutions are x equals 15 and x equals 1. This example relates to problems number 18 to 21 in your homework. So this is going to be exercises. Let's see, I'll put it up here. Homework 18 to 21. And you can use this as a model. I'm going to work out one of the guided practice that's optional next. But if you feel you understand it, go on. If you're not sure, then come back and do the optional guided practice to make sure you're doing it right.